I'd like to welcome everyone to Anthony's 403rd event for his 50th birthday. Well done to all of you for surviving the seemingly never-ending barrage of emails and social media posts, notifying you, inviting you, encouraging you, pestering you, reminding you that he was indeed having another event to celebrate himself.
I think he was 16 when I met him at the motel. That sounds bad.
I've probably known Anthony since I was probably 6 years old. So I'm best mates with his nephew, Alex, who will be here eventually, and I'm sure he'll get an interview as well. But I've probably known him since I was about 6, but I probably till about a year and a half ago, I probably had nothing to do with him. But we went out on Chapel Street for someone's birthday and, you know, got talking, and really lovely man. I love that man to pieces, and a bit annoying that I've known him all my life and it's only 18 years later that I've only started to get along with him and get to know him for who he is.
Anthony and I and Lael met doing a musical or rehearsing for a musical back in, we think 2000, we're trying to remember. And the musical never went ahead, but Anthony's been stuck with us forever, so.
So I think we did about 4 rehearsals together and we all just fell in love with him and we've not been able to let him go since.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't grow up together, and I grew up an only child, so I do really fondly remember the times that I got to spend with Anth growing up, because that was my only real experience of a sibling, and he was such good fun. I think I was the stress head, tried to keep him responsible.
We met, would you believe, at a work function, networking function. And unlike me, for the first time ever, I actually stood up and actually said something at a networking function. And then Ant sent beeline straight for me, and we started talking, we bonded. Then we went and had drinks and all that sort of stuff, and since then, 21 years we've been mates, and we do bond over cocktails quite often.
We've possibly known Anthony for the smallest amount of time compared to anyone else here. 9 months. We met Anthony and Kate in Thailand in June of 2022.
I've known Anthony 12 years ago, thanks to the Youth Exchange program. The story began with my son Lucas, and it's still going on. I usually say I don't come twice in a country because there's so much to do and to see on our half. It's my 3rd time here because of him. He's dedicated to human, he's warm, full of empathy, and he loves life and people. He's a sunshine for all of us with a real positive mind.
For me, I think he's always sort of been there at some special occasions along the way, you know, dinner for birthdays. He's come and see me in a show when I did The Sound of Music, and we caught up afterwards. So, yeah, we live at opposite ends of Victoria, so it's hard to catch up with a young family, but, yeah, we always keep in contact all the time, so that's great.
Kat and TG here, coming in from Gay Pride St Kilda.
You hold that microphone well.
I'm used to holding big black objects, Tim. It's really great to be here today. I'd like to do a big shout out to Anthony.
I can't 100% remember where I first met you, Anthony, but what I do remember is that when we did, I knew you were going to be the lifelong friend and my kind of person, and that's continued to be the way.
I met Anthony as part of the Gippsland Community Leadership Program. He was one of 30 people in the group, and one of the gifts of that year was to actually support people to be who they were. The wonderful thing about the group was, in terms of accepting diversity, accepting inclusion, accepting Anthony for who he was and the great person that he is, it all worked. So I felt really proud to be part of such an inclusive program.
I've actually found the first message that I ever sent to Anthony on the 16th of September 2020. Hi Anthony, I'm getting in touch about your ad on Fairy Floss. Your place sounds great. What are your rules on pets? I come with a well-behaved indoor-only cat. And I think I moved in something like less than 2 weeks later.
Your comment on the day in 4 words.
It is amazing.
That's 3. Exclamation mark.
I love you, Uncle Anthony. That's 1 word.
Okay, dickhead. I love you.
And my happiest memories involving Anthony generally involve him making us a variety of cocktails with whatever he could find in the pantry for us and all the members of our family.
That's why men are gay.
What? Because I don't give a shit. What?
No, 'cause
you can say it.
Me?
No, not at all.
You're endowed.
I'm not. Well, I don't think I am. I don't care. I must have been aroused. I must have been aroused.
You're not filming, are you?
I'm really glad you think that, though. That's awesome. Yay me!
Anyway, probably the main thing when I think Anthony, I think fun and big hugs.
Anthony's heart is as big as his belch, which around the home, as Zach can probably attest to,
it's quite loud.
Is very, very large. Yeah.
It's like you know how T-Rexes roar before they consume prey? It's quite similar.
Yeah. Even the prey part is probably like, it's not too dissimilar from some tree.
Yeah, true. It's usually some young, helpless victim.
Oh my God, stories. There's so many stories. Like that one time we drove to Melbourne at 3 a.m. because someone forgot to get ready the day before to get ready to a flight to the US.
For the first, I want to say like 6 months that I knew Anthony, he thought my name was Gary or Greg. He didn't know my name. My name's Aiden. It's nothing like Gary or Greg. It's not even close. But for the first like 6 months, he just kept calling me Gary or Greg. And Kate was like, who are you talking about? And one day we just finally figured out he meant me. We were like, what the hell? Why, Ant? But yeah.
Anthony, when he, this is about 15 years ago now, and he had one of the brand new phones and it had voice recording for the first time. So he tells me, I'm about 10 years old, and he tells me, check out this cool voice recording feature. And so I'm going wild with this phone. I'm recording everything. I'm just narrating my whole life. A couple of years later, Anthony pulls out these recordings, which he'd never told me. I had no awareness of this, and he plays them at my 21st birthday, and they were so embarrassing. So he'd held on to them for 11 years. So he got me good, so I think I'm going to have to get him back today with my speech.
Well, I like the one that we're in Nashville, and Anthony managed to find a trivia night in Nashville. We were only there for 2 nights. We went off to the Ryman Auditorium, the Ryman Theatre, and we saw Dave Rawlings and Gillian Welsh. So we went off and saw more music. He went off to a trivia night.
And
met up with a couple of friends, and ended up with the spa until the early hours of the morning when we had to drive back to New Orleans. Go down to New Orleans. So yeah, that's what I like. Hi guys, I'm off.
We don't get to spend a lot of time with Anthony because we're so busy in our lives and that, but we always touch base and try and be involved in, major events in our lives. And there was one time when I took my whole family down to see Anthony when he was staying at Raymond Island, thinking we'd get a whole weekend together, and he'd accidentally double booked himself, and he ended up on a yacht So my family and I ended up in his house while he was somewhere else. And then we ended up babysitting his dog, Jafar, because she didn't like the boat. So it's a testament to our friendship that he was happy for us to occupy his house and him not being there, and to look after one of his most prized possessions, which I would treasure.
I have one very distinct memory of travelling far too fast, probably about 50 k's an hour, I reckon. Well, it certainly felt like that when I was about 6 years old, in a shopping trolley down a hill, down a main road of the Gold Coast. I went to my first rave with Ant. I had lots of other first experiences with Ant. We'll keep off the video.
I think one of my favourite stories is the boat trip that we did in Thailand to James Bond Island, and Anthony deciding to do backflips off the back of the boat, and all of the Indians watching him in horror and admiration and saying, "Man, you are our hero."
Yeah, and then tried to imitate him so that he was, they all thought they were heroes. With their Pepsi bottles, by the way. They used Coca-Cola bottles as floats to stop them from sinking, which is a bit weird.
They actually thought Anthony was cool?
He sort of is cool. Not in a traditional sense, but anyway. Oh. And also, can I still say something? Okay, so that's Annie's dominant memory of Anthony, but mine is actually one night in the resort that we were staying where Anthony, it's a German resort full of German people, obviously, who are not really all that humorous, to be honest. And we had some kind of like local show and stuff, and there was lots of people there watching, and then the show finished, and then it was like a time for dancing and time for fun, and we sat at the table and nobody got up to dance or nobody got up to do anything really, and Anthony said, "Fuck this," and said, let's get this party started basically, and he got up and dancing like, he just literally physically grabbed me and dragged all of us up to dance, and within a few minutes all these super repressed Germans got up and really I think probably had the night that they would say was the best night that they had at the resort. So yeah, I think I would say he's a party starter.
For special memory, I would say I enjoy my time with him in Pennsville, watching TV and crying together, also in the restaurant. Now waiting for him again in France. Thanks, Anthony.
So do I. And now, 3 big memories of the big Anthony. I'm going to go starting off with the bus. So it's easier summed up by showing you a photo. He wanted to do Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. We own a bus. He's gay, so we shove him on top, and he enjoys himself.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
Most of us who know Anthony and known Anthony for a long period of time have appreciated the fact that he is always proactive in reaching out and making sure that those social contacts that he's made are developed and nurtured. He never fails to let you know when he's around, and that he's coming to town, or he'll be around and looking for an opportunity to catch up. And then of course we eventually say yes because we actually have time when we mutually can meet each other. But then, as typical, he always turns up late or doesn't bother because he got confused or distracted on the way. I'm coming, I'm going to be there in a half an hour. Another hour's gone by. But
my favourite memories of living with Anthony are drinking cocktails and playing board games, especially when we would be trying to add up scores at the end of board games, and Anthony would always count them out loud, even when I repeatedly asked him to count in his head.
I remember Tracy saying, you've got to meet this guy, he's really cool, and it's like, oh yeah. And then eventually I did, and things led to other things, and then it ended up that we rented a boat on the Gippsland Lakes, and I think it was for a long weekend, best long weekend that we've ever had. Anthony's music choice, Anthony's jumping off the boat, I think naked at all hours of the day, just to go for a swim because that's what he felt like. What can I say? Life to 11. On the scale of 1 to 10, he lives it at 11. Yeah, great guy. And I don't know, something I think everyone should learn to live a little bit more like Anthony because he makes the most out of every damn day.
It's very hard, Tim, to go past the time that I asked you and Anthony to go to the supermarket and get some dinner for the kids and and you found the one supermarket in Adelaide that sells alcohol. Ended up getting plastered, got home without dinner and went go-karting with the kids. I believe Anthony vomited off of our deck that night. Can you confirm that?
He did vomit. He vomited into his hands. It was beautiful.
Very nice.
It's all lies. Everything they've said, it's all lies. Someone paid them. They were under duress.
No, I've just given my...
Okay.
You go.
I'm going to walk around. Let's give that a go. Okay.
I met Anthony 4-5 months ago. Yeah, 4 or 5 months ago. Met on Grindr. We've had dinner a couple times. I think the first time we hung out was Alex's 21st. Alex's 21st. Got to drive us home in Anne's car. Made it safely. Yep.
Because someone was too drunk to drive. Thank you.
No worries. And I'm the late arrival of today.
I've known Anthony for about 12 years and on and off and I just wanted to be able to say that Anthony is a star and I think he's a bit like a gold thread weaving and linking and supporting all the amazing tapestry of people that he knows, and I reckon that he's fun and crazy and so loyal and so kind, and I am so grateful to be his friend. Happy birthday, Anthony.
Now, Anthony was also a key contributor to our wedding, wasn't he, TG?
I like this little movement. Now, this isn't just, that way or that way.
This is not just putting coffee beans onto an espresso martini. No, what is this?
So 36 espresso martinis all lined up, and he says, I'll just put a little bit of that, I'll put a little bit of that, and he's putting coffee beans on 36 espresso martinis. And that's all fine, but then the next day we find out that he had COVID.
COVID super spreader.
So he gave our entire wedding COVID.
The whole lot.
Thanks, Anthony. We really appreciate that, mate.
But honestly, if you're going to get COVID from anyone, you'd rather get it from someone like Anthony.
Hi, Aunt. Love you lots. This is a message coming from both myself, Tracy, as you know, and Lana, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. As you know, the Hazelwood Mine Fire Inquiry and meeting you in Morwell was an amazing point in time. Lana and I both regard it as the best experience we've ever had under difficult circumstances. And you made every week, we look forward to seeing you, your hospitality, the drinks after work, the dinners, your joy was something that really enriched our lives, and we are so grateful to have you in our lives. Your dedication to everything that you do. Thank you so much for the Walhalla tour, for offering to piggyback me when I sprained my ankle, for the amazing trip that we had on the Gibson Lakes, and the great times that we had at Jill and Phil's on my birthday when you were skinny dipping is literally something that I'll never forget.
Any stories or comments that you want to put on
compliments?
No compliments.
There's too many compliments. Can't do that. Stories are that I grew up, met Nick, luckily, and was introduced to this amazing man. Legend. Thanks very much.
As everyone knows, I've known Anthony for many, many, many years, 29 years. And one of the things that I have not done on this trip is revisit the most fabulous bathroom or toilet in the sky that he introduced me to when I was 18 years old. And I'm hoping to actually still pick that up on the bucket list before I leave on the Monday. And hopefully he'll have the time to come recreate a photo that's in one of those books over there. Very tasteful photo, but much, much older, more wizened and learned guys recreating it.
Mate, have a great one. I know you will.
Absolutely.
This may continue for about a year, I think.
Yeah. And party hard, which we know you will.
Thanks for inviting us to your party, your 50th. Hate to rub it in, but you're still 25 years behind me.
Happy birthday, Anne. We're so happy that we can be here with you today and to help you celebrate, and we hope it goes off well. The end of many, many celebrations.
Hope you have a happy and healthy life, Ant, and keep being the kind of person that you are, giving and always ready to help.
Happy birthday, you are an extraordinary person and super flamboyant.
Happy birthday, Anthony. It's such a privilege to know you. Wish you all the best.
I want to say a big happy birthday to my Uncle Ed and well done. I think you look around the room today at all of the people here. Everyone is so loving and caring, and it's just a representation of Anthony because that's the type of people that he attracts. Everyone here is so genuine and so much love for Ant.
You look fabulous for 50, mate.
He's looked after me, mentored me, helped me through child life, adult life, and got to say his family. Hope you have a good birthday, and thanks for always loving me unconditionally, as I do you. Best memories probably when we went to Sydney. Yeah.
I just want to say happy birthday. Have the best day you can. Talk as much shit as you can as well. Have the best day of your life because you only turn 50 once. Have a lot of fun.
I agree. Thank you for what you've done for Alex. You're a lovely guy to talk to and be around. Yeah, we appreciate you a lot.
We also look forward to seeing what you can do in the future as well. Kick some goals and keep smashing it, legend.
Just want to wish you all the best, Anthony. You're one of the most amazing humans that I've ever met, and you just deserve the best in this world. So happy birthday. We'll sing later when we've had a few more mango daiquiris.
And I just, every time I talk about you, Anthony, I just say how much of a heart of gold you've got and how privileged I am to have you in my life and as an inspiration for me, and you are every day. So you deserve the very best, and I'm glad to see that you're going out and grabbing it with both hands.
I love you, Ant. I am so excited I can be here to celebrate with you, and the conversations that I'm having around the room, they just make me so proud of the person you are, like your warm spirit and how much you've given to all the people here. They speak so fondly of you, and you've made really meaningful change in people's lives, and I love you for it. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Anthony. You are one of the most amazing people that I have ever met. You are so open, so warm, so much fun, and we love you to death. And here's to many, many more happy memories with you, and hopefully we will never lose contact.
Hi Anthony, ça a été un plaisir de te rencontrer. Tu es entouré de belles personnes et tu rayonnes. Joyeux anniversaire.
Happy birthday, beautiful work, man. I love you a lot. I don't say it very often, but I do love you. I wish you all the best in the world, and we will catch up more often. We will. Love you. See you soon.
But in all seriousness, no, it's that genuine love that Anthony has for everybody who's in his life, and his ability to be able to reach out to everybody and to maintain those links and friendships. And the diverse group of people who are here today is a testament to that.
I wish you a happy birthday. Still drinking cocktails, which is the night I met you. You were tanked, and I'd never known anyone to have triple cocktails ever before in my life. But here we are again, and you're 51 years young, and yeah, happy birthday, honey, and we'll catch up more often, and I'll push her to catch up with you more on one-on-ones, okay? So cheers.
51st birthday. But I think the thing which nobody mentioned, and I don't mean to bring it down, but I thought, I'm not on Anthony's mailing list. I let Annie handle all the social media stuff, but she read out the, was that a text, that thing about? An email that Anthony had written about growing up gay, and I thought it was one of the most touching. A really touching, beautiful description. It was, yeah, I was very moved by it. I thought it was very powerful. Yeah, I just thought it was lovely.
And happy birthday, Anthony. You have deserved every one of the 50 years that you've been here for, and 50 more.
You are so generous of heart and overly giving, and it's not always seen by everyone in the world, but it's seen by me and everyone who is here tonight. Thank you for always being fun, for boosting my confidence when it's needed. I like that night we sat on the couch and you created my Tinder profile before I even realised that's what you had actually done. You're an amazing friend, great confidant, and keep being you. You're doing amazing things in this world for the people around you. And I think you're the first person I've ever seen get up at their own birthday speech and do nothing but talk and recognise everybody else. Because that's just you. That's who you are, is making people feel seen and heard. So happy birthday, my beautiful friend. Keep being young and fabulous.
We love you, buddy. We really love having you as one of our friends. We've got some great memories together, and we're really looking forward to the years ahead.
We love you that much, mate. We've done you a book. Happy 50th, and thanks for inviting us, coming all the way from Adelaide.
And you can be the big gay cock in a frock on a rock on top of our bus anytime.
The burping dragon. I know you love your burping a lot. Happy birthday to you. Stay awesome, stay humble, stay healthy. Yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. You're such a light to people around you. You are the person of the party, basically. Anyway, happy 50th birthday. I love you. I'll see you at home.
As the only two straight men in Anthony's life, we would like to wish him a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Anthony. We love you in a straight way. Yeah, in a strictly platonic. Nothing's going to happen. We promise.
Hi, Anthony. Simon here. And look, fantastic. Thank you very much for a lovely party. It's been wonderful having you as part of our family experience for all these, the last decade and a bit. So many wonderful memories that you've been a principal part of. Henriette sends her love, as does Scott and Naomi. Josh and I have had a wonderful time tonight. Looking forward to a few more decades of this. We'll come to your 60th and your 70th, and maybe your 80th as well if I'm still around. See you later, mate. Bye.
Happy birthday, Anthony. It's been such a pleasure being your friend for the past 2.5 years, and hopefully many, many, many more years to come.
Happy birthday, Anthony. You're such a bright light in the world, so keep on shining.
Anthony is as excitable as he is forgetful, because he can forget your name within 5 minutes, even if he's known you for years. Hey, what's his name? But he will be just as excited to see you, even if he can't say your name. He is loved because he loves so much, and he's always willing to give himself. Anthony, you are always willing to give yourself to other people, and it's a fantastic trait. I hope you can continue to grow in that direction as you age, because there is never it's never too late to grow, and you've been a fantastic housemate. I love being around you, and I appreciate your time and the energy that you give me. You are literally an inspiration, and I'm going to try to take more of that inspiration from you. I love you, Anthony. Happy birthday. I wish you all the best. It's been great knowing you.
So, happy birthday, buddy. Haven't seen you for a couple of years because it's been COVID-ified, but let's see some more of you.
I love you. I love the joy that you bring. I love the way that you've inspired, mentored, and really helped everyone, including you, through some difficult times through their lives. I love how proud you are, and we are so proud of you, and we aspire to be more like you. We love you, and thank you for being you, and thank you for inviting us to your 50th birthday. Love you lots, babe. Bye.
Anthony, it's been great to meet you. Happy birthday. Again, I'm sorry for arriving late, and hope this is the first of many occasions where we do get to hang out. Cheers to more.
Anthony's a really positive force in my life. He's definitely been an inspiration, whether he has actively said it or not. So I find him really fun to be around, and a good teacher and an educator in himself, even though he might not understand that or realise that. So yeah, I love you, Anthony. Thank you for being my friend. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
The reason this day happened is because I'm lucky enough that my brother and his ex-wife did the dirty.
Oh my God, I'm out.
and created this terrorist. So, I love you, and you've done an awesome job today. You have. You've done such an amazing job. What do you think has been the best part of today?
I think my favourite part was Anthony's speech.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was so heartfelt. It was really special. I could tell that you were a tiny bit nervous, but because it was actually really important to you. And the crowd was loving you. Oh, the whole crowd loving you. And second was our fun get to know you bingo game.
Your idea.
Everyone being very competitive. Some surprising competitive people actually, out of nowhere. So that was definitely very fun.
Cool.
Anthony, I hope you're looking at this in 20, 25, 30 years on, and you can actually remember today as a happy, happy, happy moment. I'm so glad to be part of it, and I hope that whenever that time is, that I am down here to celebrate another milestone with you whenever that happens. Love you lots.
Now, Anthony, who always likes to break with tradition, usually the birthday boy speaks at the end of the speeches, but Anthony would like to get it over and done with because he's really effing nervous. So, the floor is Anthony's.
So, as my brother said, hopefully my emails and websites gave you enough information. You had enough information to know. And I did write 3 speeches. One of them was 3 pages long. Suffice to say that this isn't one of them. And my family wisely guided me to brevity. Given how excited I am today, I'm glad that we're recording the event so it can be played back at half speed at a later date. Catherine Alinda Mayer, aka Kate, my amazing 27-year-old niece who has done a heap of work to help organise this event and kept me from hiring bouncing castles, circus acts and selling a kidney to pay for it. You will also notice that many of the pictures on the projector pictures on the projector include Kate. In her words, we aren't just family, we are friends. This beautiful, intelligent, kind, driven and loving young woman has become an amazing human and she makes me super proud to be her uncle. And I'm very lucky to have you as a friend. Thank you, Kate. I love you. And everyone, please put your hands together for the work that you have done. I thank you for loving me for who I am and for making this day and all the other events happen. My nephew Nick is here. Put your hand up, Nick. Nephew Nick is here with his best friend Blake. And Phil, as you already know, my big brother. The only person who can sometimes finish my sentences and or understand what I'm saying when I speak way too fast. This man has probably caused me more belly-aching laughs in my life than anyone else. I love him. Thank you, brother. Those who know Phil know how demure and shy and retiring he is. So I'm very glad that he kindly offered to do a bit of emceeing for us today. Thank you, Phil, for coming out of your shell. And he also was the Uber driver for this magnificent cake, so he drove very carefully here. I know how hard that was for you as well. So, not a Mayer trait. He attempted to rein in my OTT nature by reminding me that this is not a 21st, Anthony, it's a 50th. Well, Phil, David Williamson produced David Williamson, the most produced playwright in Australian history, wrote a movie called Don's Party. Perhaps now you can write one called Anthony's Party. Thanks, Simon Eaton, for that joke. Where's Simon? Well done. And I'm totally giving back to the community. I know all of you will have lots to say. My life is content. You're welcome. Unfortunately, my mum is no longer with us. R.I.P. Daisy Alinda, Lynn Mayer, Nee Savage. But my dad is here. Dad, Barry Albert Mayer. Say hello to Dad. With my other mum, Mary Ann, and my adored sister, Kirsty Ann Louise, and her husband, Michael. And I strongly recommend looking in the brown photo album that I thought I'd lost until a few days ago. And a shout out to the lovely Pam. Where's Pam? Pam. Pam is my stepmother's brother's husband. Rest in peace, Tony Roach. We loved you. I mean, that's really, really, really extended family, but still someone I cherish and I consider part of my family. Same as my 5th nephew who emerged in September through marriage, who I've only got to know since September last year. Now living in Warragul with my housemates and I, Fianne and Michael. Thank you guys. Say woo. And I'm glad to have you in my family, Alex. Fianne, thank you for putting up with my manic nature and for organising my child Panda to join us today. Thank you this morning. As my eyes and memory fail, I appreciate the aged care that all of you provide. Speaking of which, Thomas Crosby, where are you? Whoop. Thank you, Thomas. Over the last 7 years, I've watched you bloom into a very confident young man. I'm proud of what you've achieved. You're one of the smartest people I know. I love your partner, Jesse, and he compliments you well. Love is love and it inspires me. But T, please go on a ride next time we go to a water park. Thanks for helping set up today, as always. Ezra, where are you? I've known you since you were 12 and you have come a very long way. Young man, now a man. And Andrew is here too, also someone I've known since he was about 12 or 14. Where are you, Andrew? He's hiding behind Santa Claus. I'm not a fan of the beard, sorry. I thank you all for travelling to celebrate with me today. This is the beginning of a long weekend, so a lot of people had to sacrifice a long weekend. Some of you did. I'd like to call out Jason Holmes, who is standing next to me. Again, I didn't get a chance to scan photos, but definitely go and have a look in the photos over there. Jason's travelled all the way from Canada, and we have not seen each other for 28 years. 29. We met in Canada, and we were very much in love for 8 months, which is probably... It's very much long term for me.
We had a plan.
Yeah. And the French delegation. Lucas, my Rotary Exchange student, and his mum Corinne. Corinne, where are you? And her lovely partner Xavier. A side note, Lucas and Josh Eaton reduced me. Where's Josh? Josh Eaton, where are you? Josh and Lucas reduced me to tears one Father's Day when I got a Father's Day present 10 years ago as their host dad. That was the one and only time that was going to happen, let me tell you. To Tim and Kat, travelling from Adelaide, from South Australia. Their wedding, where's Tim and Kat? Amazing, thank you. We tried to pair up our jackets today, it's very well done. Their wedding last year was one of the most beautiful weddings I have seen. I'm so happy to see them together. When they lost their caterer to COVID 3 days before the event, I was keen to jump behind the bar and make 36 espresso martinis for their reception, with the rest of that story being something they can tell you or not. I never really liked coffee beans on top of the espresso martini anyway. Jane, who has travelled from Eagle Point, East Gippsland, which is almost the same distance as Adelaide. Where's Jane? Janie, hiding there. Jane, beautiful young woman, I met over a fence, drunk at 1 a.m. I'm not sure which one of us is drunk, possibly both of us. And then we went on to win King and Queen of a dancing competition, and you know who was the Queen, right? Right. Since there are so many people here today who I dearly love and I care for, and we have stories of and about each other, Mark Giddens from Gippsland 360, hand together for Mark. We'll be roaming around with my niece, nephews and possibly housemates doing Vox Pop style interviews. So you can record your stories. Some are going to be roasting me, probably most of them. Some will be from the heart and some will be hilarious anecdotes. All have sprung from the mutual love and adoration we have for each other. Fingers crossed. So, reviewing my emails and my website, this 50th birthday festivus could easily be dismissed as narcissism, ego, or an excuse for a party, mayors. And I'll take some of that sentiment on the chin, fair enough. However, for me, this celebration of my life is definitely more of a celebration of those beautiful people, humans who have made my life as rich as it has been, you. So thank you for celebrating with me. And for some of those people who couldn't make it today, who'll get to see the photos and videos, a shout out to Gilberto in Vancouver and his mum in London, and Del Callender also from Bairnsdale. Robin and Jeff Leanman, who I danced at their wedding when I was 5. The jokes about me being Peter Pan I need to address. There are many young people here today. Something I'd like to address. You see there are also some older people here. Some of the people in this room have saved my life, literally. They have guided and cared about my well-being, especially when I was younger and I navigated the understanding of myself and my sexuality at a tender age. This may come as a big surprise to many of you, but I have something to say. I am gay. So, I know, it's a surprise and you are shocked. I know this. But this person you see before you has had quite a colourful journey to get to this point. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I love my double-edged sword anecdote, my sexuality has formed a huge part of my identity and my journey. It's less about who I sleep with and more about who I love. It's certainly been defining. I used to state in conversation, usually with heterosexual people, that my life, there is so much more to my life than who I sleep with. And while that is definitely true, being queer is a huge part of my identity. And many people here will understand that. Just look at the interview on the microphone. Thanks, Mark. Good job. So I'm probably preaching to the converted. So many inappropriate jokes I won't make. But out, loud and proud is important. And visibility and conversations are important. What someone wants to be called, gendered, identified as, seen as, may not be important to you, but as my friend Tracy said to me, it's definitely important to them. So while someone may ask why there's no Pride March for straight people, and I ask why young LGBTQI+ people still have some of the worst mental health statistics, especially in the country where I grew up. So in the words of the spiritual guru, Lady Gaga, rejoice and love yourself today because, baby, you were born this way. Thinking about my brother's words, he is almost right. I could not celebrate my 50th due to 2022 COVID. And my real birthday was a week ago, so I'm really in my 52nd year. And as useful as I think I am, it's not a 21st. It's strictly not a 50th either. So let's call it 2 21sts, and we'll crank it up by 19.1% for good measure. Enjoy Elora's hospitality in this awesome venue and have a fantastic day. Thank you for coming or watching this later. I love you all. Thank you.
Underpronounced as always for Anthony. Yes, you can sit down and you can start drinking with a free abandon. So we're going to get into a bit of a roast now. That's what it's all about, really. It is about Anthony. And Anthony's got some special people who would like to say a few words about him. So firstly, we're going to get the birthday boy and hopefully roast him in good spirits. Embarrass him a bit, share some stories maybe.
No, I dare you to embarrass him.
And some special moments that we've had with Anthony, because today is, of course, all about Anthony. So firstly, I'd like to ask Lucas to say a few words. As Anthony pointed out, Lucas was an exchange student who lived with Ant through the Rotary organisation. He's come a long way to be here, especially for Anthony, and it just shows to testimony how important he is to him. Lucas!
Woo! Go French kid.
Thank you so much. Special shout out to my mum who's already crying. And yeah, so obviously Anthony asked me to say a few words for his 50th, and I'm very happy because I love a little speech. And apparently, as he said, you can't have speeches at 50th because it's not a wedding or a 21st. But well, the truth is he's 51 already, and fuck the rules. It's not often we're all here to celebrate this guy, and Anthony has been fucking the rules since we can all, as long as we remember. I met Anthony 12 years ago as a Rotary Youth Exchange student. He was my host dad, and I was a 15-year-old French kid with terrible English, but full of certainties. During my exchange, he turned 40, and I remember telling him at the time in my awkward English, "You're turning 40 and you don't have a 40th birthday party? You suck!" Little did I know that at the time he really enjoyed doing that. Anyway, 11 years later, he invited us all to his 50th, so I guess I couldn't turn down the invitation if I didn't want to suck too. I have known Anthony for 12 years, and my life wouldn't be the same if I hadn't met him. Anthony, through his involvement in Rotary, amongst many other involvements, has changed my life, and I know he's changed the life of many others around him in sometimes very unconventional ways. I've never met somebody so dedicated to making people around him feel loved, safe, happy, or drunk. He's dedicated to his community, local or international, and never counted the time or the effort to serve others with purpose. So I thought we can all take some of our own time to show him our gratitude and our love. That's why I came all the way from Europe, and I'm sure that's why you're all here today, wherever you come from. So thank you, Anthony, for being who you are, making our lives a lot brighter and a lot shinier. Happy birthday, of course, and may this birthday last forever.
Champion. Fantastic. Just an example of the impact that Anthony has on people's lives, and fantastic to see you, Lucas. Yeah. Look, definitely the best looking and probably the smartest person who Anthony could get to talk about him today is his niece, who also happens to be my daughter, Kate, who I'll also note is his lawyer. Because he does seem to require quite a bit of legal advice. Make of that what you may. Kate, the floor is yours.
Hello everyone and welcome to this amazing celebration of my Uncle Ant. Sometimes it can be really hard to think of what to say when you're asked to give a speech, but it is made really easy when there are so many good things and so many funny stories to share. Nothing can keep Anthony down for long. He has the most amazing ability to bounce back with a positive attitude and a smile on his face no matter the adversity. My Uncle Ant has always been there for me, bringing cool gadgets and teaching me how to use my very first iPod when I was younger. And as I got older, Ant's house was the cool house, where we could hang out and get away with some sneaky drinks and some parties when we were not quite of age yet.
Imagine my lawyer.
Now, not long ago, Anthony invited me to meet up with him for the Midsummer Street Parade. The whole street was closed off for the day, and Anthony said, "I'll be at one of the bars," sent me his location, and told me to find him when I arrived. About 20 minutes later, I followed Ant's location up the street, and as I was following along on the map, it began taking me away from the festivities. I arrived at his location, a venue called Wet on Wellington. I very dubiously entered the establishment and I was hit with a strong smell of bleach. The man at reception was shocked to see me. He awkwardly said, "Sorry, no women today. Come back for Wild Women's Wednesdays." I later found out that Anthony had promptly forgotten about our plans and made alternate arrangements. There really is no one like Ant. Anthony lives his life unashamedly and proudly. He is a trailblazer. Because of how you have fought for the LGBTQIA+ community, the world is a better place today. Your battles and your decisions have paved the way for my generation. I can't thank you enough for this. You are an inspiration. I'm going to share one last memory from when Anthony and I travelled to Thailand. We booked a boat tour on a whim, with no research, simply trusting the nice Thai salesman. We arrive on the boat. The passengers on this boat are about 50 Indian men and Anthony and I. The rickety boat arrives at our first island destination. Most of the passengers do not know how to swim. They're given a life jacket and canoed the few hundred metres across to shore. Anthony looks at the life jackets and the line to be canoed. He promptly hands me his phone and jumps off the boat. Our fellow passengers cry out in a mix of shock, confusion, and admiration. They think he is going to drown. Anthony swims the few hundred metres to shore, where our entire boatload lines up to take a picture with him. One man exclaims, "He is our hero." So Anthony is now the face of the Thai Island boat cruise, And he is probably famous on Indian YouTube. There is no one like you, Ant. Ant has never turned down an idea. He is truly up for anything. A seemingly mundane lunch or catch-up will turn into a world of fun with Ant. You never know where you might end up. I think today might be filled with more great memories led by Anthony's pure love of life and for his friends and family. Anthony, happy birthday. I love you. Here's to you.
And some of those stories are just the tip of the iceberg, as we all know. Look, next up we've got Anthony's long-term friend and former GP, somebody he's known since he was 19 years of age. Howard, come and say a few words, please.
Well, I don't know about you, but for someone who runs a business called Online is Easy, I don't know how difficult it was to respond to your invitations. How many times do we have to do it over and over again? But we're finally here. As it's been said, I've known Anthony since he was 19 years of age when he came to see me as a patient when I had a practice up there in South Yarra. And the trauma of having him as a patient meant I left clinical medicine not that long after. All jokes aside, I've watched Anthony grow from an immature, somewhat irresponsible, absent-minded young man who would never have ever contemplated standing up and saying he was gay, to what you see now, which is a mature,
not too much,
comfortable young man, maybe still at 51 years of age, who is now giving back to his community, who's very comfortable in his own identity, and we've all come to know and love him through that identity. He's still completely irresponsible and absent-minded, but mature in the way that he exhibits that. I recall, and I'm probably going to steal your thunder a little bit, about a mad dash in the middle of the night back down to somewhere in Gippsland.
Where I'm living now, Warragul.
Yes, on the eve of a trip overseas to recover a passport that had been inadvertently left behind. I don't think that's ever changed, has it, Anthony? I think one of the things that stands out for me for Anthony, and with this I'll finish, is we have people come into our lives, we have people who go out of our lives, and we don't know why. We sometimes look back and think, gee, I should have kept up with that person. Anthony's one of those people who, when a person comes into his life who's meaningful, he'll never let that person go out of his life. You know? He is proactive in the way that he follows up. He's always reaching out. He's always providing that stability in the friendship that we all appreciate and we love. So thank you for being... I'm probably his oldest friend, and I'm not saying that because I'm 67 years of age, but I think we've known each other for a long, long time, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah. So congratulations on your 51st birthday, and may there be many more. One of these days you may even turn 100 and get a letter from someone.
I'm glad we limited his drinks until this point. Get the man another one, really. The next person we're going to ask to say a few words has come a long way. Another one who's come a long way, all the way from Canada, Jason.
So, most of you don't know who the hell I am. Of the speakers, aside from Philip and Howard, I've probably known Anthony the longest. I met Anthony 29 years ago, 1994, at a birthday party. I won't go into details about said birthday party because it might get back to me.
It's on being recorded.
I know. That's why I'm being careful. He's a vicious, vicious bitch, that guy. So I'm being very spontaneous in my speech, which is totally unlike me because it's one of the things that Anthony actually brought to my life is how to be spontaneous. And that started kind of that day when we're at a movie theater with, 10 people, and Anthony promptly announces, I've seen that film. I'm going to go see something else. I had also happened to have seen the film that everybody else was watching, and I was devastatingly taken by this handsome man. And I was like, me too. And promptly earned the permanent ire of the person whose birthday it was, probably for the rest of that man's life, and he shall remain nameless, Caleb. So in that movie, which I believe was Maverick.
Really?
Yes, with Mel Gibson. We didn't give a crap about the movie. This man held my hand. It was the first time I had ever held hands with another man. And I was absolutely smitten from that moment. I think he was too. And it was possibly one of the most formative moments I've ever had. And I don't really remember the rest of the day. I don't actually remember our first kiss, which is really, really odd, but I remember the hands and holding his hand. And that was kind of the start of a whirlwind, crazy 8-month romance where I did a lot of growing. I think maybe he did too. Both of us had a lot of crazy adventures, and I learned a lot from him. I got kicked out of my house during that period because I was on the phone with Anthony all the time, and I ended up moving in with him for a while in White Rock, which was a bloody long commute to my regular job, and I ended up quitting that job because the commute was too long. And then one fine day, Anthony's like, hey, I need to go to Australia. I have to be at a christening for my nephew. So to some extent, Nicholas is the excuse why I came to Australia in the first place. And as a result, I was like, I got this crappy job. Well, he got me the crappy job, made no money at it. And eventually I was like, Ant, I can't afford to come to Australia. You all know how Ant just makes things happen. He made it happen. Partially thanks to Lynn, may rest in peace. But I was down here, and sorry, I'm gonna cry. So I came down here for all of 10 days, and I think I spent most of it in Yanar. As Howard alluded to, not just my passport, but my airline ticket. Because somebody was like, you've never traveled before in your life. I'm going to look after your documents for you. He promptly put it in a case, a purple tape case, that was at Philip's place the entire time we were in Melbourne. Literally 8 hours before my flight is supposed to leave, I'm like, okay, I need to get to the airport. Where are my documents? He looks at me blankly. What are you talking about? I'm like, my passport, my airline ticket, you know, the things that I'm not responsible enough to look after? And he's like, shit. So fortunately, Howard, this very, very kind man, drove halfway at 1 a.m. in the morning to Warragul. Thank you, Philip, for putting those documents in a cab. We met in the middle of nowhere, did a deal, drove back to Melbourne. And exhausted, I think I'm ready to go. Then I look at my plane ticket, I've overslept, and I have not met my flight from Melbourne to Sydney. So, I eventually made it home. hopefully, obviously. But that was kind of, wow, letting somebody else look after your important stuff, learn to delegate, but also learn to remember when to look after yourself. Right? So I had to go back early. I had to go back to uni, and Anthony stayed on. And then he came back to Vancouver, and we had some really interesting times. He moved into my dorm room with 4 other university students who had no idea, A, that I was gay, B, who the hell this man was, why we made so much noise at night. I was 18, he was whatever age he was, 28, 22. Eventually we realized this was a bad idea, and we got our first flat. So it was the first flat that I'd ever had. I had it with somebody that I loved. We went to IKEA, which we bought all the things. And then, much later, he discovered that he needs to leave Canada because his visa has not been approved. So we returned it all except for the dishes, which I had for about 10 years afterwards. I still have some of them. They're broken up in the bottom of plant pots. We had lots of adventures in Vancouver. Like talking about firsts, I rollerbladed all over the place with him. Hated it, but I did it for him, and he never knew. Kissed a few trees while I was on rollerblades, but never broke a foot or hip or anything like that. Trying to keep up with him is always impressive, as anyone who has ever walked with him can attest to. Anyone who was in Sydney can remember how some people, hi,
That's my name.
a kilometer ahead of us, motoring on, not checking back to see, is anyone actually still following? So that was kind of like rollerblading. And we had some really, really good times. One of the anecdotes I'm going to remind you of that you totally don't remember. We met 3 wonderful Japanese girls who are on work exchange in Vancouver. And yeah, there's the Mickey Mouse photo album over there. We would always go gay clubbing. I would get stuck with the 3 of them at the front door because women could only come through the front door. Aunt being Aunt was like, well, I'll see you in an hour or so. When you get through the queue, I'm going to the men-only back door. And there you would be having fun, be like, where the hell were you? And I would be like, well, as usual, waiting for you, or waiting to catch up to you. I'm going to skip over a whole bunch of stuff. You can talk to me about the skunk story, which was hilarious. But after 29 years, he sort of messaged me and was like, I'm turning 50. You should come down. And I'm like, yeah, I probably should. So, and it's been fantastic seeing you again. We have changed a lot. Well, I've changed a lot. So we've both grown up. We've both done some amazing things. And I'm so proud of what you have actually manifested for yourself, from the person who kicked me in the butt and made me a happy gay man to the person I am today. Thank you.
It's a long way to come to give a speech. So obviously you can see the value that he's got in the relationship, which is just fantastic. All right, so we're going to finish with me, because I've known him the longest. Anthony Lloyd Mayer.
Hello.
The Angry Ant. Andy Pandy. And as our mother used to address him, Anthony! There are many adjectives to describe Anthony. He's somewhat of an enigma, which is a person who is mysterious or difficult to understand. And I'd suggest that enigma is the correct word, it's accurate. He's also loyal and honest, sometimes brutally and not very diplomatically, to his own detriment. Sensitive, on occasion overly. Caring, clever, socially aware, but not always socially considerate, as we've heard some of the stories. Ant was born on the 2nd of March 1972, which actually, as we've pointed out, makes this his 50th birthday celebration a year late, which is another trait Anthony is well known for. He's never on time. It's ironic that he was almost 3 months premature and early to his own birth, being the most premature baby in Australia at that time, and he's been late to everything ever since.
Fashionably, I said it, fashionably.
It's true that Anthony started out life on shaky footing. Being so premature, it was unlikely that he would survive. He was so tiny he'd fit in the palm of our father's hand. But after many weeks in a humidity crib, Anthony was brought home and basically laid around, slept, ate and cried for almost a year. Which meant my initial excitement of having a baby brother to play with changed into agitation, impatience and at times frustration, and the fact that he got so much more attention than I did and that I couldn't throw a ball at him. Sorry, with him. I couldn't throw a ball with him. And at times had a troubled childhood, and he was always sensitive and lived in a dreamland. He once arrived home at age 8 with a buddy and announced that they were going to get married. Of course, these were different days, and Mum informed him that he might need to wait a while before he was allowed to marry his buddy. Ant's reply was, "But I really love him." A touchy and progressive moment. Ant and I had the normal brotherly disputes growing up, and at times his temper got the best of him, and we saw why he was called the Angry Ant, including incidents of him chasing me with an axe, throwing solid metal canisters at my head, smashing me over the head with a glass lemonade bottle, and attacking me with a shark gaff. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's a very long, sharp hooked implement for dragging sharks out of the water on the beach. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't deserve some of these attentions and attacks, but the point is Anthony's always been intense. He still has elements of this personality trait, but fortunately he's mellowed now, calmed and learned to control his temper, so now he's more the anxious Ant or the agreeable Ant, and sometimes maybe even the adorable Ant. You can make your own minds up on that one. Anthony was also little Ant. Until 15, he was quite small, and then the growth hormones kicked in, and he became all arms and legs, making up for lost time, becoming taller than me by the time he was 16, but his lankiness didn't transfer to coordination. He's still quite clumsy, as we all know. Anthony was not sporty. As team captain of my school football team, I once picked Anthony on the team. He was around 14. I placed him in the forward pocket without too many expectations. Was just happy to have my younger brother on the team with me. I thought if I got the chance, I'd kick the ball to him, and even if he couldn't mark it, maybe he'd get a free kick and a sporting legend might be born. I got the ball in the centre, went for a run, spotted Ant in the goal square. He was looking at the sky in a daydream. Which is common then and still today. I kicked it straight to him, causing his opponent to push him in the back. The whistle went, free kick right in front of goal, 10 metres out. This was it. Ant was going to be a hero. He'd have friends, he'd be accepted, the world would be a better place. The umpire set the mark, the opponent stood on the mark, and Anthony stood right in front of him, ready to kick the ball right into his face. I ran quickly down and grabbed Anthony and dragged him back a few metres and told him to kick over the mark, not into the man. He lined up. I hoped he'd listen to my instructions on how to kick the ball and put it all together. The crowd was silent. I'm not dramatising this, it's real. Everyone knew this could go either way. Out on the full, into the post, into the face of the guy on the mark, or maybe he'd missed the ball altogether. Ant stood, he didn't run up, just stood, swung his leg back and awkwardly kicked the ball. And everyone watched as it just cleared the fingertips, sailed right through the middle of the goals. Ant's first and only goal in footy, but more importantly, as you've just reflected, the biggest cheer and sporting celebration you have ever seen. This would have put most AFL players to shame. Thus was the exaggeration of his celebration. He ran around and pulled his shirt over his head. He fist bumped the heavens. I was a proud brother that day, and I'm still proud of him, mostly, this day. Look, there have been many other sporting stories, including almost winning the 3,000 metre walk, but being disqualified before the end because he started to run because someone was coming up behind him. And his days as a basketball star, where he had trouble dribbling, trouble shooting, and at times trouble staying on his feet. He's done some incredible things with his life. He's travelled and worked around the world, making his own way and doing the things that he wanted, with little assistance from others other than the people that he met along the way. He started his own business a few times, which he still owns and operates, and despite some tumultuous times, he pays his own way and he can only be described as a success, an expert in his field, in demand, and a legend in his own lunchtime. Anthony's always marched to his own beat, attempting to throw a stool at a window at kinder, climbing trees at primary school and refusing to come down to class, prancing down the streets dressed as a nun, the dreaded clown period, making friends in Hong Kong with young men who he wanted to bring back to Australia, pooping in paper sheds, breaking legs in foreign countries, deportations. The list is endless. I've got all the dirt. He's lived an eventful life, and if you want to know more about any of these things, please ask him and then come to me for the real versions. Anthony's always loved music, and although some of the crap he listens to can barely be called music, he's always loved to play it loud. And as a child, his favourite song was Bright Eyes, which he'd sing at the top of his lungs, tears streaming down his face, even when it was inappropriate, like the time at 6 a.m. that he put the record on the turntable. Yes, he's that fucking old. That he couldn't get the speed right, so it sounded like the bloody Chipmunks. And waking the entire house, and of course none of us were particularly happy about that. Look, there are so many great stories about Anthony, so many adventures, mishaps, accidents, poor decisions, funny, hilarious and inappropriate tales, unbelievable situations, but they all make up who he is today. Anthony was adored by our mother and by a family friend, Ricky, who would both have loved being here today, but I'm sure they're here in spirit. Anyway you crunch it, Anthony's a character. He's never dull. He's the life of the party, even when you don't want to have a party. He'll convince you that you do. He's mostly kind, insightful and honest, sometimes reliable, and he rarely forgets things. No, hang on, that's wrong. It's meant to be... He rarely remembers things. But most importantly, he's always genuine, generous and gregarious. His laugh is infectious. He loves his friends, obviously. You love him back. And the world is a better place because Anthony's in it. Life is all about creating moments and memories with the people that you love. So I thank you all for sharing today with Anthony. You all obviously mean the world to him. So I'll get everyone to please raise their glasses to a brother, uncle, son, friend, and undoubtedly unique character.
Housemate.
Yeah, no, that's it. So, they're going to cut the cake now? Yes. So, I think we're going to cut the...
I've known Anthony, how long? Very long. And one of the things I've got to say about Anthony is, I don't need that.
That's for the mic, it's for that.
Is that you, when you know him, you continue to fall in love with him. All the time, you're falling in love with him more and more and more. So, I'd like to sing you a little song.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when we were new, life was simple for me and you. And I know, oh, it's true, I'm falling for you. Remember how the days go by, how you held me, not really, held me tight. Although we did share a bed in Memphis, but we won't talk about that. And I know in my heart, I'm falling, still falling for you. How magical, how sublime to hear your voice down the telephone line. And I'm counting my blessings, 'cause I can, as I fall. Remember when we were new, life was simple for me and you.
No tongue.
And I know, oh, it's true. Yeah, no, thank you. I'm falling, still falling. I'm still falling for you.
I love you, I love you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Anthony. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Everyone to make me proud! Happy birthday,